Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to finally do the unpacking of the SEESTAR S50, a budget-friendly smart telescope that we have been waiting for a very long time. And in this video we're going to check out the solar function, lunar function, the scenery mode, and the astronomy mode. And at the end of the video we're also going to do a little bit of post-processing. So let's go ahead and open it up so we can start testing it out. As you can see, it comes in a nice firm case with a nice carry-on handle. So let's go ahead and check it out. As you can see, it actually has a nice tripod. Seems very firm, very sturdy. It has a good amount of weight to it. It actually has a little level in the center of it as well to level it out without having to use the app. I noticed that ZWO also did advertise that this tripod was good to use the AM3 motor mount as well. So that's nice that this actually does have a double use to it. So let's go ahead and set this up and screw on the SEESTAR. This is the SEESTAR right here. As you can see, it has a nice size compared to my hand, much bigger than another smart telescope that is sold, which means that this would have a much bigger aperture and focal length. So let's go ahead and screw it on, and then we will go ahead and turn it on and test it out. Okay, it is now screwed on, so let's go ahead and power it on for the first time and check out to see what it can do. So let's go ahead and turn this on. I read in the instructions are here as well. It has a quick setup guide, which is very convenient. I did very much appreciate that, as well as it comes with a charger. It also comes with a high quality solar filter. So let's go ahead and test all of these things out, and looking forward to testing this part out a little bit in the future. So go ahead and power it on. It beeps twice, and then it should just give a minute for it to actually power on. And I did read in the manual that it will say it is ready for connection once it is ready. So let's go ahead and just wait for that. Okay, it just said it is powering on and ready to connect. So let's go ahead and connect that now. All you have to do is press connect here on the SEESTAR app and connect. Honestly, it's pretty cool that it's actually able to talk to you. I didn't expect that at all. Let's hit join. All right, it is connected to the SEESTAR. That was pretty easy. There's a lot of different features in the app I think that are pretty neat. There's a star map here. That's pretty cool. There's the square, which is basically like a social media function in app. Of course, I can't really show that off because I don't have Wi-Fi right now. You can also see like a map of your nearby friends that are using the SEESTAR as well. And then there's just your normal profile. So go ahead and check this out. You can also turn this on. There's an anti-dew function, which is good in areas where I am. I'm in Georgia, and honestly it is crazy hot and humid here, and that can really fog up the lens. So make sure that is on. You can adjust the sound volume. There you go. We have it on loud volume, and also the firmware. Advanced settings. Okay, advanced I guess has an auto shutdown function, or if it's not in use it can power down by itself. But let's go ahead and get it started. Let's check it out. Let's see here. We're gonna go to our scenery mode. And let's start moving this around and see how well the imaging is. Okay, let's go ahead. I believe this is pointing at a tree branch, but we're going to go ahead and press the autofocus here to check. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but we'll see. Okay, it actually autofocused perfectly. I didn't expect it. A lot of these autofocus algorithms don't work the best. So honestly, to see that it worked properly is quite impressive. Let's see if we can go up just a little bit more and focus again just a little bit further away. See if it still works the same. Autofocus. Okay, it autofocused perfectly again. So what you can do with this now is you can take photos just like this. As you can see, you can adjust the exposure just like this, or you can set it to auto. And there's also video if you wanted to record a video, just for whatever you would need it for. So that's nice. It's nice to know that the autofocus works properly and you don't really have to worry about it manually. Honestly takes a lot of time off of your hands, so that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and make sure that we now check out the solar function. So far, I'm very impressed at the fact that it's able to autofocus the way it does, how crisp and clear the images are as well. So I'm excited to see what we can do in regards to solar. So let's go ahead and check that out now. All right, it is now time for us to focus on the solar function of the SEESTAR. First thing we were actually instructed to do for this was make sure your SEESTAR is not aligned directly at the sun, as that can damage the sensor on the inside. So I do already have mine aligned over the sun so that it would not be pointing directly at it. So now let's go ahead and install this solar filter. Now the solar filter actually has a little hole, and it used for the alignment so that you can point your SEESTAR in the general direction without actually having to take forever to look for it. So let's go ahead and point this on. All right, it is now on. It has this little hole right here again so we can find it. So let's go ahead and try to figure out where it is. As you can see, mine is installed and shooting. So click on that. And let's try to find the sun. As they said, I did have mine pointed directly above so it wouldn't be too hard to find. Let's go ahead and check here. See if we can go down and find it. Oh, passed it. Passed it again. And there it is. Unfortunately, it's already starting to go behind the tree. Let's go ahead and autofocus on it now. As you can see, it said it is autofocusing. Oh, we don't want it autofocusing on that. Let's click here instead. Alright, it is now focused on the sun, so now we can actually track that. Yes, it is in the center, and now it will automatically track the sun. And you can use two things. You can use photo to take beautiful photos of the sun. As you can see, it's highly detailed. You can see the sunspots there too. I think that's really cool. And you can record video. So let's go ahead and record video. And what you can do with this video is actually shot in AVI format, so you can take it in later on and potentially take the frames apart and stack them together on your computer. So let's go ahead and stop this video, look at the photo, take one more, and let's check out the photo taken by SEESTAR. As you can see, it's right here, and you can actually see the sun moving around. You can see the SEESTAR captured very nicely the sunspots. I think that's very nice, very highly detailed. Here's a photo I actually took earlier that you can see a little bit more detail of. Unfortunately, that was basically the first take of the video, so it didn't come out the best. But again, the fact that the SEESTAR, with this such small optic, is able to get such precise detail of not only scenery objects but also solar, I think that's very impressive, because I personally didn't expect it to be this good, but seeing what I'm seeing so far, it's definitely a 10 out of 10 would recommend, because this is very impressive. So it makes me look forward now to how the lunar function of it's going to work. So let's go ahead and check that out, and then after that we will go directly into the astronomy part of it. So astronomy, I mean the astrophoto part of it. So I'm excited to see how that goes, so let's go ahead and check that out. Alright, now here we are trying to check out the lunar function of the SEESTAR. Let's go ahead and try this out now. We're going to click on lunar here. And thankfully I have already positioned my SEESTAR to about the position of the moon, sorry. So let's go ahead and go here. Once the moon is in focus, what you want to do here is you want to click autofocus. and it will autofocus in order to get a nice, crisp, clear view of the moon. Okay, it said autofocus is completed. So now we are going to click here. The moon is in the center, yes. Sync has succeeded. Tracking is going to be accurate now. As you can see, the moon is now staying in the center of the screen. The moon is not moving at all. And once again, we can get nice and crisp, clear views of the craters and everything. Honestly, the fact that it is this crisp and clear is shocking to me. I didn't expect it to be quite like this. So let's shoot some photos of the moon. And again, you can do raw data and record a video. Once again, just like with the sun, you can take this data, you can put it into a computer and stack it together to get a nice, crisp, and sharp image of all the craters or whatever it is that you want to get a nice detail of. Yeah, perhaps the moon will look a bit nicer at nighttime. Of course, with the area that I'm in, the trees would be blocking that, so I'll kind of have to do it during the daytime. But the fact that you can still see this much data throughout the day, I also find impressive. It's kind of neat. You do know that it is tracking because, as you see here, the planets down here at the bottom of the screen are moving. However, the moon is staying at the same spot. So this just goes as well to show the impressive tracking accuracy of the SEESTAR S50. And so now let's go ahead and take our SEESTAR back out at night to see how good of a astrophoto that we can get. We're going to try several different targets, try to push the limits of the SEESTAR, see what it can and what it cannot do. And after that, let's go ahead and do some post-processing. So let's go ahead and put this away for now, let it charge so we can have a full night of astrophotography. Okay, we are now outside and it is now time to test out the stargazing function of the SEESTAR S50. Now we're going to go through 4 different targets. On each target we're going to give it about an hour amount of exposure time. And we're going to see what the SEESTAR is capable of on each different target. It's going to be a different level of difficulty for the SEESTAR for observing. So let's go ahead and open up the stargazing function. We are going to go ahead and go to our star map now. And for our first target, I have decided that we will go ahead and try to get some part of an image of the North American Nebula. So let's go ahead and find that. What we do is we go here, we zoom in, and here is the North American Nebula. Now this is very simple. I believe all we have to do is we press the go to function here. And there's also this object search, so if we wanted to, there's different nebula that you could click on. There is tonight's best for nebula as well. But we're just going to use a star map, and we are going to click here for go to. It is now going to the object, as you see. Let's go ahead and look at the camera. The camera is slowly moving upward because I'm sure that you cannot see very well given the fact that we are using a very limited amount of light because we do not want to mess up our imaging. Now what this is going to do is it is going to take 3 different shots of the sky in order to figure out where it is, what it's looking at and everything. So let's go ahead and allow it to do this, and then we will start the shooting process. Okay, it is now tracking the object. However, we now need to see if the autofocus function works on this. So let's go ahead and press the autofocus button. Okay, it said autofocus failed, so let's go ahead and try that again. Let's do the autofocus one more time. Okay, autofocus failed once again, so maybe we need to try it on a brighter star. So let's go find one. Let's just go to this one since it's quicker. We're going to go here. Okay, it has now found the object, so now we can try the autofocus one more time. Okay, autofocus has completed, and it is very nice. I'm very happy to see the fact that it autofocused correctly. The stars are very sharp, which is exactly what we needed it to be. I was slightly worried that because it did not work the first couple of times, maybe the autofocus algorithm was not 100% good, but it appears that all the stars are very sharp and very clean, so that's good to know. Let's go ahead and go back to the nebula here and do our go to. Go back down. Okay, it said the object is now in center. As you can see, I did notice it takes a few seconds for the screen to actually update. Maybe that will be fixed in future releases, or maybe that's just the Wi-Fi signal emitted by the SEESTAR. As you see in the top right corner, it says it's previewing the image, so maybe that's just how it is. So go ahead and turn this light pollution filter on for the nebula. As you can see, it kind of cut down on the stars a bit. And notice you can also change the brightness down and up, but we're going to leave it at auto. And let's just start shooting, I guess. I noticed it doesn't really have a timer for you to do a certain amount of time. So we're just going to go ahead and press the start button and let it run for an hour, and we will come back to when that is complete. Oh, one more thing I do notice. It says that it has to enhance the image. It says improving the image quality takes about 1 minute, so we will allow it to do that before it actually starts the shooting process. Okay, the image enhancing has now completed, and we are now starting to get our first seconds of exposure. We will allow, again, like I said, we will allow this to run through, and we will come back to when it is complete. Okay, I have now taken about an hour. Actually, it was a little bit over an hour. I noticed that the SEESTAR does have a slight lag regarding transferring the image from the device over to my device. Perhaps that is why it only said it got about 44 minutes of exposure, or maybe it was just the time that it needed to stack. But that was what we were able to do with the 44 minutes. And now it is time for us to take our second target. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult for the SEESTAR. But let's go ahead and check that out. We're going to go down here. We're going to go to stargazing again. Let's go to our star map. And what we're actually going to look for this time is going to be, once I find it, give me 1 second. It will be the Dumbell Nebula. So let me go ahead and search for that. Nebula, Dumbell Nebula. Right here, let's go to gazing. And it automatically does the go to. We're going to go down here as it does that. Okay, and the go to is now complete. You can actually see the Dumbell Nebula right there in the middle. So let's go ahead and let this start running. Again, we're going to let this run for an hour, and we're going to see what it can do before we move on to our next target, which is going to be much more difficult for the SEESTAR. It is actually the Iris Nebula is going to be our next target. So let's go ahead and check this one out. Okay, we have now reached another hour of runtime. This time it says it only got about 31 minutes of exposure. I noticed perhaps the reason it does that is the distance between my device and the SEESTAR. Perhaps it's not able to transfer the data at the proper amount of speed. But either way, it's still got a very nice image. As you can see, I think it's very pretty, and I'd like to see what it could pull out in post-processing. Now we're going to try something a little bit more difficult, one that cannot actually be used using the, it cannot be used using the light pollution filter. So we're going to go ahead and try it. It is actually Caldwell 4, or however you say that. Let's go ahead and find that now. That should be somewhere over here. And this is a reflection nebula. And that's why it's going to be more difficult, because we cannot use a light pollution filter on it, because that would cut out most of the necessary light. So let's go ahead and focus on this now. Let's hit the go to button. Okay, it has arrived. Now I would imagine that this one would have a much harder time having not much field rotation, given the fact that this is closer to the North Pole. So it's not an equatorial mount, so I would imagine this one's going to get a lot more walking noise, but we will see. Once again, we're going to let this run for an hour, and we will come back to when that is complete. Okay, those two are now out of the way, so now it is time to try the most difficult deep sky object that I would say for the SEESTAR S50, and that most difficult object I would name tonight is the Elephant Trunk Nebula, since that is actually just a dark nebula within a hydrogen alpha rich area. So we're going to go ahead and try to do that now. Let's go to our star map and zoom out here. The Elephant Trunk Nebula should be right behind Cephas here. Up there it is, and as you can see, it is right there. So let's go ahead and do our go-to. It is now shooting to make sure that it is in the right position based on these stars. It is still going to the object, and just give it one moment to complete. Shooting. It is still trying. Identifying. I think the whole process is neat. You can even see the location of the camera on the app, and then it goes to the actual camera. Now for this one, we are going to have the light pollution filter on, and let's go ahead and leave this running for another hour and see what we get. Okay, so with this last one, the elephant's trunk, I'm personally surprised that it was even visible at all. Of course, at the same time, this was only done with about 30 minutes of exposure, so I'm sure that with 1 or 2 or 3 hours of exposure, it could do much better. Of course, due to the lag, that the 30 minutes was all that it was allowed to get. Now, one thing that I feel like a lot of people want to know is they all want a telescope that can do planetary and deep sky. Can the SEESTAR do planetary? That's a very good question, and we're about to find that out. There's always probably a workaround. Right now we have Jupiter and Saturn both out in the sky. So we're going to go ahead and check those out for you real quick. Let's go ahead and sync that. And we're going to go to. Okay, so let's go ahead and enter your question now. As you can see, Saturn is right here. Maybe we can do an autofocus on this to make it a little bit clearer, because we do know that it is not a star, it is a planet, so it's going to have a different focal length. So let's go ahead and check on that. Okay, it is now focused. Now, as you can see, you can only change the brightness on here, so let's change that to negative 100. What is one thing that I was thinking is possible? Possibly there's a loop around that we can do by going to scenery mode. So that is something I would like to try. Let's go to scenery. and it should still be in the same location. So Saturn is still right there. What if we turn the brightness down like that and shoot a photo? Here is our image. Of course, it is none of the best. You can't really see detail. It is a bit too bright, but I'm sure that in the future versions of the SEESTAR app, when we have more control due to the Pro version, I'm sure that perhaps it is possible for us to be able to take decent planetary photos. Now let's go ahead and try it on Jupiter as well to see if it's any different. Go to stargazing. Let's go here and find Jupiter. Jupiter is right here. Let's click on that and do a go to. This is where we're trying to go. There you go. Right there. Go to. Okay, Jupiter was unfortunately too far behind the tree, so we were not able to get to that. But I mean, you can see the Saturn's moons. You can see Saturn itself. Like I said, hopefully in the future, in a Pro version, we can really lower down the exposure. Maybe we can start recording it in AVI format, just like we do with the sun and the moon, and we can stack them all together and get a halfway decent photo of planets. But of course, that's not a thing right now. We're just gonna have to wait for future versions of that. So now let's go ahead and bring the SEESTAR inside and get to work on the post-processing on PC. All right, here we are now finally on PC. We can connect our SEESTAR to the laptop. So let me go ahead and connect it now. All right, as you can see, SEESTAR is now connected. So let's go ahead and open up our files. Scroll down here, My Works, and we have our different files, these 4 different ones here. One thing I do want to point out is that currently with this app version, there is no individual file stacking. They have only the already stacked file on there. Thankfully, it's already a FITS file, so we can edit that in Serial or PixInsight or wherever you want to edit it in. However, the individual files are not yet available. I do not want you guys to think of this as like a turnoff with the SEESTAR. That feature is going to be added into the app soon, so do not get worried about that. It will be a function in the app. The app is still under development. As you can see, it had a whole lot of good stuff already, but it's still getting better, and we're going to be getting a lot more features soon. So please, if there's something that you don't like, do not have that be like an absolute no. Because they're still adding new stuff, and we will soon be getting those individual FITS files to stack ourselves. So that's good news. I'm very excited about that. But let's get into processing our data. Go ahead and open this up here, and here's our stacked file. We're gonna go ahead and drag this into the Serial program just like this. Open in Serial. And let's go ahead and start working on this. So we're gonna put this on auto stretch and unlink it. One thing I'm actually thinking about doing first is actually putting this on FITS Scrubber. So let's go ahead and do that. Go Google Chrome, and let's go to FITS Scrubber. Let's go ahead and mute that for now. Do not need to be hearing all those notifications. Okay, so it is loading FITS Scrubber. We're actually going to go ahead and upload this. Upload a FITS file. Okay, that is uploading now. I'd say we're going to do our remove green tint and do our star removal. We're going to go ahead and click start on this. And while that runs, we're going to go ahead and do another one. Let's just see. Let's go to My Works, M27, and try to do some processing on this one, Serial. Go ahead and make sure that this is running correctly. It is queued. I'm not sure how long it's going to take, so let's go ahead and get started on this one. We're going to go to auto stretch here. As you can see, here's our image. We're going to unlink this and close this out. And let's, yeah, as you can see, the nebula is there. It's very bright, very bold. So we're going to go back to linear. No, I'm sorry. We're going to keep it in auto stretch. We are going to go to our background extraction, generate that, and compute the background. Hit apply, and that applied that nicely. We're going to now do our remove green noise function. Hit apply on that. And I think we're going to have to crop this because it has way too much field rotation. As you see, all of this is field rotation. We do not want that in our image. So let's just go ahead and crop it. Crop just like that. Okay, let's go ahead and save it like this. We're gonna switch it to linear mode now. We're gonna do our photometric color calibration, just like this. Photometric, it's M27. We're gonna hit find, and let's go ahead and hit OK. Okay, photometric color calibration is done. Let's go ahead and start processing this now. As you can see, it's in auto stretch. I do want to get rid of the stars before we do anything, so let's go ahead and save it. We're going to run it through our star net. Go ahead and do the star net star removal, pre-stretch, hit execute. Let's check on this real quick. Okay, it's still doing its job. We're going to go back to 0. Okay, it is now complete. Let's go ahead and move this into linear mode. And here's our Dumbell Nebula. Now let's go ahead and do some work on it. Set it to 100. Click on here, find our symmetry, to start figuring this out. All right, that's nice. We're gonna kind of bring back our background back down. Apply and bring the rest of the nebula back up one more time. Let's go ahead and select it here. Make that our symmetry point, drag it up. It's a bit too much. That should be good. So we're gonna hit apply here, hit close, and we're gonna go to our image processing, color saturation, and drag this up. Not a fan of that. I'm gonna kind of pull that back up. All right, let me select this whole area. We're actually gonna do a color calibration because it seemed to mess up just a little bit. Color calibration, just like this. Background neutralization, for some reason it's necessary. Gonna go ahead and run this now. Hit apply, hit close, and now we'll run our color saturation one more time. Nice. All right, let's do it one more time. Color saturation, bring it up. That's a bit too much. We don't want that. And lower it down a little bit more. Hit apply. All right, let's bring our stars back in. Star processing, star recomposition, and let me save this. All right, background stretch parameters here. Go to My Works, M27. Let's see our starless, and then we're gonna bring our star mask in. All right, let's bring our stars in here, get them all pretty. All right, we're gonna drag it up a little bit more, hit apply. Maybe we can bring up our stretch factor some more. Nice. Hit apply, hit close. And then let's save this as a unique file. Now this wasn't a very detailed run through, it was just a quick run through to make it look a little bit nicer. That's saved into the working directory, so now it's in our folder. Let's go ahead and close out of this one. Hit close. Here is our elephant trunk nebula. We're gonna save this as a fits file. And save our star mask as a fits as well. Save these both. You see it is downloading them both now. I am interested in how both of these are gonna work. Not really sure which one is which. Download the star mask. Okay, yeah, there we go. Let's go to our downloads now. And I believe this is the first one, so let's drag this into 0. Alright, let's start doing some work on this one now. We're going to switch it. We're going to do our background extraction, as always. Generate that. Now, that was horribly wrong. We're going to do that again. Okay, so that doesn't appear that's going to work like that. We're going to have to do it like this. Background extraction. Just click on these different areas that we're going to call the background. Of course, it doesn't have to be a lot. It's just a rough amount. Okay, we're going to go ahead and compute the background, hit apply. Now, I think I'm going to unfortunately have to crop this part out, just like this. This is, no, I can't crop yet because we still have to put the star mask in. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and, let's see, remove green noise. Where's that at? There it is. Apply, close. Alright, we're going to go to our generalized hyperbolic stretch, and we're going to click here. Start bringing it up. A bit too much. We're going to hit apply, and we're going to bring the black in, because we need more black. A bit too much. We're going to hit apply. Generalized hyperbolic stretch. Bring it up. Not too much. Hit apply. Alright, hit close. Now let's go ahead and bring our saturation up. Apply. And do it one more time. Saturation. Bring it up. Apply to get that red in there. Now let's save it. Bring the stars back in. Star processing, star recomposition. Need to make sure it's in our downloads. Let's check that. This one. Open this one. See how our stars look here. Open. All right, there's our stars. We're gonna bring them all back to a certain extent. We're gonna hit apply here, hit close. And now let's go ahead and crop our image. Image processing, we're gonna go to geometry, rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise, I believe. And now we're gonna crop it. Just like this. Crop. And here is our elephant's Trunk Nebula. Again, that's the best we could do with about like 30 minutes of exposure. We're gonna save this. We're gonna save this as a unique file into our downloads, our working directory. I think that's pretty good. Honestly, it is pretty good for the amount of time and the aperture and everything. I think that is fairly decent. Let's go now and close this again. Let's see, go to our SEESTAR again. My works. NGC 700, and let's bring this one in here. I'm excited to see how this one comes out. I know this one has to come out good. All right, go ahead and put this in auto stretch. Unlink it. And here we are. Here is our North American Nebula. Let's run through our background extraction, hit generate. That did a horrible job. We're going to lower that down. Generate. That's still not the best. Hit generate. That's better. All right, so we're going to hit compute background, hit apply. You can see it evened everything out nicely. Let's go ahead and crop this to get that field rotation out. Let's crop it just like that. Hit crop. Let's rotate it because I'm not a fan of how this is rotated. Image processing, geometry. No, the photometric color calibration is going to turn it anyway, so let's just remove the green noise, hit apply, hit close. And I did notice, I like that it saves it as the name of your deep sky object, so you don't really have to type that in for the photometric color calibration, but we're going to do this anyway. All right, NGC 700. No, sorry, 7000. Hit find. It's there. Hit OK. It's ready. All right, so let's go ahead and rotate this now. Geometry. Rotate. Do it again. Geometry. Rotate. Still no. I don't know. I'm sort of picky when it comes to this, so let me just find which way looks best, in my opinion. Geometry. Rotate again. Alright. That's fine. That's fine for now. So let's go ahead and start doing our stretches and everything. Now, I don't want to have everything in here as regards to the stars. We're going to do another background stretch, actually. Background extraction, hit generate. Let's try that. Hit compute background. It evened it out better, so that's good. Save that. And now let's do our star and star removal, our usual process. Just like this, star and star removal, star processing, and get this done. Execute. Alright, it is now done. We're going to move this to linear mode. Okay, that looks pretty nice. What I'd like to do, though, is if I can, I like to do color calibration on it. But first, let's do our stretch, as always, of course. Put that to 100. Symmetry point. Drag this up. I'm not a fan of that. We're going to kind of do that. Reset it. Yeah, select it again. Drag it up. Okay, we can hit apply here. Maybe this will work fine. Linear stretch, drag black up. A bit too much. There we go. Apply. Stretch a little bit more. Reset it. We're gonna put this to 1. Select here. Drag it up. Hit apply, and then bring the black up again. There we go. Apply, done. Now let's go ahead and do a color calibration, so we can get some blue and yellow colors in here. Background, oh, that was the wrong thing. Undo that. Color calibration. Select this background. Use current selection, background neutralization, and select the nebula. Use current selection, hit apply. As you can see, it kind of fixed the coloration here. We're gonna neutralize the background again, use current selection. Just like this. We're gonna, oops, mess that up. I'll do that. We're gonna remove green noise. Alright. So now let's go ahead and do our color saturation, bring this up. Of course, that's too much. Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to leave it at the natural color due to the amount of noise in the image. I feel like when it comes to post-processing on PC, the best thing that you can do is get more exposures than I have. Due to the lack of exposures, it's not letting me get the proper amount of detail I want without having a whole lot of noise, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's still a pretty decent image. So go ahead and do a noise reduction here and apply. All right, that helped it a little bit. So let's go ahead and bring the stars back in. Let's see, star removal. As soon as this thing is ready to open. Star recomposition, starless, open, and star mask, open. Let's go ahead and bring our stars back in. Hit apply, hit close, and then crop that field rotation out. Crop and save this as another unique file. Now let's go through our last one here. You see 7023. Can't quite remember what this one is. Fortunately, I have not the best memory, so let's go ahead and put this in auto stretch. Oh, right, this is the Iris Nebula. I do want to run this one through Fit Scrubber, so let me do that real quick. Okay, so here's our Iris Nebula. We're going to go ahead and download this one and download this one. They're both currently downloading. Now this one's kind of tricky because it is a dark nebula, so there's not really, as you can see, you can't really see much of a contrast between the background and this, so I'm going to go ahead and take our downloads here. Take this download, pull it in. Go ahead and put this in auto stretch. Oof. Not, oh, that's the wrong one. All right, let's go to our downloads again. It's this one here. Hit OK. There we go. I'll link our image. Let's go ahead and do our background extraction. This one, again, I'm not really sure what to do. It's kind of all over the place. Hit apply. We're gonna do our linear mode. Hyperbolic stretch. And put our linear stretch here. Bring up the black point first of all. Apply on that. Try to bring out the nebula just a little bit more. Apply. We couldn't really get the dark nebula out, but we can get the coloration in as much as possible. So let's bring this up. Do it again. I say I really like that hue. It's like a bluish with turquoise. It's very pretty. So let's save that and do a StarNet recomposition. Maybe it's this one. No, it is not that one. It is this one. And then for the stars, we have this one here. Let's bring the stars in. All right. A little bit more. Very nice. Hit apply here. Hit close. Let's crop our image. Crop it and save that as a unique file. That's going to be in our downloads. Go ahead and bring that to our desktop as well. Move this out of the way. And here are our SEESTAR images. So let's go ahead and check them out here. Open up our Photos app, hit always. All right, so here is, oh, nope, not that one. Here is our Elephant's Trunk Nebula. As you can see, it has a lot of walking noise, but the fact, again, this was less than an hour of exposure, and it's a very dim nebula, so I find it quite impressive that I was able to pull this much out, and the fact that you can see it without even doing the post-processing, I do find impressive. The Dumbell Nebula, of course, it pulled out a lot of detail, a lot of the coloration. I feel like it looks very nice. I feel like you can never go wrong with the Dumbell Nebula. It's always beautiful, even with not a lot of exposures. But with more exposures, I'm sure it would have been even nicer. North American Nebula, of course, I love that I can see this detail here. Once again, I'm sure it would have looked much nicer with longer exposure time. But unfortunately, this is all that we could get for tonight. And last but not least, I'm actually very happy with how this Iris Nebula came out. You can see actually the dark clouding around it and the beautiful coloration right here in the middle. And this one actually had, pretty sure, the least exposure out of all of them. So once again, I do find that very impressive. Honestly, the whole SEESTAR experience has been very exciting. It was exciting. I enjoyed using the SEESTAR. I look forward to continuing to use the SEESTAR and unlocking its full potential as the new features are released and as I'm able to get more exposures, thankfully. So, personally, my final opinion of the SEESTAR, I think it's very nice. The field of view is a bit small, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be fixed when they release the mosaic mode in the Pro version. Thankfully, I'm very much looking forward to when we can stack our own fits files instead of having to use pre-stacked files. It'd be nice to do a little bit of a drizzle using this serial program. I like the optics. The optics are very nice, very crisp and clear. It's very nice that it has a dew heater on the inside as well because it does get very humid here. It would be nice if we could get a little bit more... oh, that was a duck. I apologize for that. It would be nice if we could get a little bit more exposure time, like 15 seconds at least. But then again, we would need to polar align it for that, and this is not made for that. So, honestly, what would I rate the SEESTAR S50? I'd probably rate it a 9 out of 10. It's a very good telescope. I would definitely recommend it to anybody who is interested in buying a digital telescope. But for now, SEESTAR S50 is definitely a purchase that you want to make. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say regarding the SEESTAR S50. I hope you guys liked and enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. It definitely supports the channel and allows me to open up the doors to reviewing other products as well. Hopefully you guys consider buying the SEESTAR S50. It is definitely a very good buy. And again, thank you very much for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed. So please leave a like and subscribe, and stay tuned for further videos.